Hello, Happy New Year. Thank you for downloading Extra Healthy-ish, the perfect way to kickstart your new year. This is your podcast from Body+Soul, and I'm your host, Felicity Harley. Clinical nutritionist and weekend sunrise regular Sarah Lorenzo was on the podcast last year, and she talked briefly about her new book. Well, it is out, and we had to get her back on to discuss it all. Her book is called The 10 by 10 Diet, the healthy way to lose 10 kilos in 10 weeks and keep them off forever. So, how does it work? And if you're not really into so-called dieting or fat loss, as I like to refer to it as, she's going to share her golden rules for healthy eating. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on Extra Healthy-ish. Now, firstly, congratulations on your book. And secondly, how are you hoping to stay extra healthy-ish in 2022?
One of my top tips for staying extra healthy-ish, and by the way, thank you so much for having me on. I always love coming on Healthy-ish and chatting with you. One of my favourite, I think my top tips is definitely just to make sure that I'm doing regular exercise. I think if you've got a routine of exercise, everything else falls into place. You feel good for the day. You seem to make better choices. Your stress levels are low. You can handle a lot more. And I just think there's so much to be said to the benefits of exercise in staying healthy in 2022.
What do you do for exercise?
So I've kind of worked out for me, I would exercise 4 to 5 times a week, not any more than that. I love cardio because I love doing runs because runs are a great time for me to think. I just like being outdoors. So I'll always do like 45 minutes of cardio 4 to 5 times a week. A small little at-home weights program that I have in my lounge room. And if I have enough time, definitely after that, which I did this morning, was a swim. It was so good,
beautiful.
Just a couple of laps. So I love that. Great start to the day, I always find. But I don't recommend every single day because I think it can be a bit exhausting and it's important to let your body rest in between.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, from exercise to your book, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Your book, it says 10 by 10 diet on the front, but really when you get into it, it's not really a typical diet book. How is it different from other diets?
Oh, it is so different from other diets. First of all, it's basically, I wrote this book to change people's lives and I wrote it for long-term change. It's so comprehensive. There is a wealth of information in there about how the human body works, how the body responds to weight loss, all the roadblocks that can happen in the weight loss journey. There's all the reasons why people struggle with weight, understanding the importance of sleep, managing stress, and of course, exercise. There's all of my golden rules in there. It's just honestly years and years of being a clinician and also years and years of reading papers and studies and formulating something that is healthy, that makes people feel good, that takes care of the human body along the way, that is a healthy relationship with food, that has a healthy relationship with body image, that is all about being your best self, living your best life. It teaches people an entirely new and incredibly nutrient-dense way of eating. So I kind of retrain people with a meal plan that's really healthy. I still include fruit. I still include legumes in there. I don't remove food groups whilst I do minimize them because I really believe in people developing a healthy relationship with food. So,
yes, I need to read out this line. I really loved it. It's that you wrote. The 10 by 10 diet focuses on positive body image and inner health. I don't believe in fad diets. I'm passionate about teaching a healthy lifestyle. And this is what it is, isn't it?
Absolutely 100%. And I have had so much success with running the 10-10 diet in my clinic anyway. So that's why it ended up being a book. And it basically has got so many different methodologies in there and concepts tied together over the 10-week period.
And you say you can lose 10 kilos in 10 weeks, but I also think you can do it if you just want to kind of reset your healthy eating. Why is this the healthy way to lose weight?
Okay, so I'm a very big believer in when it comes to weight loss, and I strongly and passionately believe in fat loss. I do not believe in fat, fluid, and muscle. When people talk about rapid weight loss is when you lose a rapid amount of weight in a short period of time, you're not going to lose fat, you're going to lose fluid and muscle. So when you stop dieting and you go back to your old normal eating, because a lot of diets don't teach you your new normal of eating, you end up putting fat back on. You end up putting fat back on. And then over years of yo-yo dieting, people will end up getting fat between muscle, kind of like a wagyu, and it's really unhealthy. So I believe in removing body fat only. So the 10-10 diet is a low-carb diet, but I've taken it just to the brink where it's a low-carb diet that will put you in a healthy state of ketosis where you fat burn. So I believe in keeping beautiful muscle, keeping beautifully hydrated, but removing fat from the human body, which is actually, fat's actually a condition of inflammation, and it's actually a disease state, excess body fat. So I believe in removing the disease state and keeping beautiful muscle and keeping people wonderfully hydrated along the way.
Sometimes I actually I do believe this, not sometimes. I believe that we should actually change the conversation around weight loss to fat loss in some ways, because I think, lose weight is, as you say, it involves water and fluid and many other things. But really what we want to focus on, if you are overweight or obese, is the fat loss.
It's the fat loss because basically fat tissue actually leads to inflammation, that chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation will lead to disease states, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, issues with arthritis. So all of that can come. Obesity is a state of disease. And then with my diet, why I've called it the 10-10 diet and why it is 10 kilos in 10 weeks is because that is healthy weight loss. So to lose body fat, if you look, and I've watched this in years doing this as a clinician with my one-on-one patients, I have discovered that in the first 2 to 3 weeks of any diet, people will lose a lot of weight because they lose what's called glycogen and body fluid. So glycogen is carbohydrate stored in muscle that draws in water. So you lose a bit of water weight in the beginning. So once the water weight's lost in the first 2 to 3 weeks, when there's been maybe a 2-week kilo weight loss per week, and you drop down to healthy fat loss, the human body cannot lose more than, and I see an average between 0.8 to about 1.2 kilos of body fat in a week. So I want people to lose body fat. So to do that with an evidence-based approach, that's usually over a 10-week period. Now, there's people who do my program who might lose 8 kilos in the 10 weeks, and there's people who do my program who might lose 15 kilos in the 10 weeks. I find the people that lose more weight tend to be people who had a lot more weight to start with because they might have had a lot more body fluid or body water in a larger body mass. But so that is the average, and that's why and the other thing is a lot of research shows that if you do anything in more than 66 days, it can become a way of life. And I want the 10-10 diet to change people's lives, give them a whole new healthy approach to healthy eating and a new way of life, and teach them a new normal.
I like that. Oh, yeah. Bring on the new normal.
Yeah.
We'll be back after this short break with more from Sarah. Now, can you give us a bit of a rundown of what the so-called diet is in a nutshell? Can you break it down? What can we expect over the course of 10 weeks?
Okay, so this is all I love. Like when I talk about this, I love this diet so much because I put so much thought into it. And so the first week and a half, first 2 weeks is just getting into a healthy eating plan, doing some food prep, getting your prep done, and getting into a ketogenic state. So that to me, that takes up to 10 days with the average person. So I just want them to do healthy eating for the first 10 days. So then just before the second week, so in the second week, at the end of the second week, we start a little bit of intermittent fasting my way, which is just low calorie. I don't believe in time restricted feeding, as that's that language. And then there'll be a bit of fasting, which I bring in to amp up the weight loss, and also just to throw a bit of, a bit of difference in there so the body doesn't get too much in routine. Then in week 5, and so around week 4 is when people are like, yay, usually. And a lot of people can go into they get the success, they start picking, they see that, they get into the plateau.
I'm okay, I'm going well.
Okay, I'm going well. So what I've done is I stopped the program there and I put in a 2-week mini detox. Now, it's not a detox in as far as it's anything traumatic or you're drinking skinny teas or anything. It's a beautiful, nutrient-dense 2 weeks, and it almost shouldn't be called a detox. It should actually be called 2 weeks of self-love, to stop, goal set, reassess. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Being really healthy. It's teaching. So I love the detox because it's something that you can throw in at any time in your life, after Christmas or Easter or big holiday.
Just a reset.
A reset, but it's about time for you. Why are you doing this? Remember your goals. It throws a different, it keeps people interested. And then the last 4 weeks are where I amp it up to 2 fasting days per week, healthy eating, and just get a bit more of that weight loss going, because people are confident to do that in the last 4 weeks when they've given themselves some love in their detox, and they've got into a healthy menu preparation and meal planning. And then I talk about maintenance as well in the 10-10 diet. I just give people a bit of a snapshot of what maintenance looks like. But the 10-10 diet in itself is basically a scaffolding that we use to build on in maintenance of a healthy eating plan.
Now, you also, you've got the eating plan, but you also talk about the importance of other habits in life, and exercise is one of those. Most of our listeners would probably know, well, they're probably out there exercising, listening to this podcast. How much exercise is enough, or perhaps too much, if you do want to lose fat?
So I always say 4 times a week of 45 minutes, or 6 times a week of 30 minutes.
Okay.
And that's basically my guidelines. I don't think you need to do any more of that. I see over exercises, people who do 2 hours a day, I see them almost going to a state of oxidative stress or something where the body actually will stop. It's put too much stress on the body when you do over exercise. And I often see people stop losing weight, or they can end up building a lot of muscle too, which is a great thing, but it interferes with their mindset if they've got a weight loss goal. So that's not something that I talk about a lot, understanding different types, water weight, fat weight, muscle weight, things like that. Understanding that education is really important. But I think that if you do 4 times a week, that is enough every second day, or maybe 5 times a week. Anything more than that, I think that you'll burn yourself out.
Yeah,
I definitely
absolutely.
do. I think you get burnt out. I know that. I'm 49 and I've been a runner since I was 18. And I know that if I have done the 7 days a week and I have got burnt out.
And your body, you feel it in your body, don't you, when you over-exercise?
Correct. And I just think it's really important to give you, I'm a very big believer in rest and rejuvenation as well, which is part of why I go on a lot about the importance of sleep.
Well, let's talk about sleep. Why can poor sleep wreak havoc on healthy eating plans and mindless snacking? I mean, this is the thing that many of us fall into when we're tired. Yeah. I'm bored. It's 3 o'clock, but I'm also hungry, I think.
Okay, so people do that. So I'm actually a little bit obsessed with sleep because I am an ex-insomniac. So I really struggled with sleep, and I really have self-taught the importance of sleep. And I know when I sleep well, how good I feel. Okay, so there's a few things to understand about sleep and how it impacts the weight loss journey. First of all, research shows that people who sleep 5 to 6 hours of sleep compared to the 7 to 8 hours, when they're doing weight loss, they tend to lose some muscle more than the people who are better sleepers. And that was a very interesting study I saw, that do the 7 to 8 hours. The other one is when you're sleep deprived, you end up producing more of the hunger hormone ghrelin that says, I'm hungry. So you produce more of that. And the thing is, it's kind of so then you have a different mindset where you go, oh, look, I'll just have a bit of sugar in the coffee for a pick-me-up. And then there's the pick-me-up mentality. And then you get to the 4 o'clock slump, which is a natural dip in cortisols. We all have that for afternoon slump. I don't really know many people who don't have it, but we dip cortisol then. And cortisol is that hormone that, yes, it's in stress, but it also is what wakes us up in the morning. So we get woken up by that hormone. So it's an important hormone, but we dip then. And then I think if you're fatigued, that just makes that so much harder. And then you really go and look for, the snakes in the staff room jar, or the biscuits with the coffee, or the sugar with the coffee. So if you're sleeping well, compliance to a weight loss program is a lot better. decision making is better. But if you are someone who is trying to manage your sleep and you do go, oh, I just need a pick me up. When I was training myself out of that, I did that with just power naps. So I became the power napping queen. I was like, okay, I haven't slept well. And it was usually generally when the kids were younger. And so I actually would do the 15-minute power nap. And I found that really effective because at the end of the day, if you're looking for a pick-me-up, your body's needs to rest, really. That's common sense to me. So there, I could go in a bit further and talk about the insulin glucose pathway throughout the night gets disturbed. So while we're asleep, we have glucose that's released to keep us alive and keep us going. And then we have insulin from our pancreas that's released that will mop up that. And often if you can start your day with elevated blood glucose, which I see as soon as people come into my clinic and they go, I just really don't eat breakfast. I'm not a breakfast person. My next question is, are you a poor sleeper? Oh, yeah, I'm the worst sleeper. And I'm like, yeah, you're starting your day with a bit of glucose. And so you're not really that hungry. So I often find really good sleepers have a better appetite in the morning as well.
There we go.
So
get good sleep.
Get good sleep.
Okay, well, just lastly, give us a few of your golden rules of healthy eating.
I just talk about this. I actually have a whole chapter in the book called My Golden Rules. So it's things like definitely never skip breakfast. Don't fall into that trap. And that is so important. People fall into that trap because they think, oh, I can skip breakfast and I'm going to do really well for the day. No, you'll end up looking for those calories in the afternoon. Definitely if you've splurged and life is about enjoyment and we're all going to splurge, do one of my 600 days. I've always done one of my 600 calorie days. I've always done that after a splurge and I love a good splurge. I definitely do because it's part of being alive.
So splurge one day and then cut back the next.
Next day, yeah. You just balance it out. Yeah, correct. Menu planning, food preparation, really important. I do food prep twice a week. I do it on a Sunday and generally a Thursday. So I shop every 3 days and food prep is the key to success as well. Portion size, definitely always just managing portions. You can still enjoy what you want, but just portion size is really important. Don't overeat. I always look for my first cue when I put down my knife and fork and my first eating pause. And when I hit that eating pause, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling full now. I stop then. And that's a good cue. So definitely not overeating. I have a glass of water before each meal. And I also have a glass of water before, because it stops me from being, if I'm really hungry, from just going in and overeating. I also, if I'm feeling hungry, I have a glass of water first because often hunger and hydration can be confused
good tip.
Until you're parched. And when you're parched, you're probably dehydrated. When you're cutting back on trying to cut back on sugar, think of things like herbal teas or cinnamon teas, things like that. And definitely getting, as I said before, some good quality sleep.
Sleep. I feel like sleep is your word for 2022.
Maybe
apart from 10 by 10 diet.
Perhaps it is. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Sarah, congratulations on the book and thank you for coming on Extra Healthy-ish.
Thank you so much for having me. I always love being on your podcast.
Well, there you have it. Sarah's diet in a nutshell. Her book is called The 10 by 10 Diet and it is out now. Actually, I hear it is already on the bestseller list. If you want more from us, make sure you download other episodes of Extra Healthy-ish. We drop new ones every morning, Monday to Thursday, or jump online, bodyandsoul.com.au. Thanks again for tuning in. And if you have a moment, we'd be so grateful if you could rate, review and subscribe to this podcast. And until tomorrow, stay extra healthy-ish.